Hello and welcome to a short video about the major steps I took to achieve the map for the Supermap contest, and I would like to reiterate the topic for this project, which centers around gender inequality in the context of uneven wealth distribution. One of the setbacks and challenges for this project is limited data, which is why I reached out to a former client of mine to seek permission to make use of their data in order to highlight the concept I needed to communicate with my map. I wouldn't like to waste more time, and I'll get right to it. I've launched my Supermap desktop here, and I'm going to load in my data set used for this project. My data set has been successfully imported, and firstly the data I worked with was the polygon data gotten from QBCILNG. This polygon data consists of over 2,000 properties owned by different category of people, male, female, and organizations all together, and some are jointly owned by a male and female. Personally, the first thing that came to mind was, how do I differentiate a male property, a female property, and jointly owned property, and the likes of it? So I decided to interact with the attribute table, and in the column called gender, I decided to filter for the necessary data I needed. For example, if I needed to export just properties that belonged to males or females, or for example, let me just choose the male. I decided to the male properties, and this was the output that was given. After the output is given, I decided to export each data set by exporting as a polygon feature or a region feature as it describes here, and I named it accordingly. In this case, male owned properties, and this was repeated for the rest of the categories I needed to work with. This was the first stage of data interaction and processing I needed to do, and it was also a major part of highlighting the information I needed to pass across using my map. The next stage was to download the road data set. The road data set was needed as an addition to show connectivity and the plan of the settlements where these properties are situated. The roads data set used was that of Delta State, where Warri is situated, and this road data set seems to belong to the whole of Delta States, which wouldn't fit well with the project I was trying to work on. So I decided to clip. The clip function I used is the map clip and the select object area type of clip, and the area I needed to clip was for Warri. So what I did was, I simply took my Warri boundary data and I used it as the clipping feature or the clipping polygon feature by this, and I simply created a union clip out of this. I decided to save it as a map clip, and it's being exported. The exported map is here, and as you can see, it's not visible, so all I needed to do was to bring this above it. Let's take this down, and here we go. So this was the final output of what I got using the clip feature, the polygon clip feature, which gave me the roads I needed. The next thing was for me to overlay each category of property, that is the female property, the jointly owned property, the male property, and the organization property. What I needed to do was to overlay each one of them, yes, for the projection reasons, the jointly owned property, and each of the property category was overlaid on this surface area, that is the worry band, and something of this nature was generated, and we can see a distribution, and the road connectivity as well is visible. This was the steps taken to achieve most of what I did. And after the overlay, when the overlay was complete, I simply created the graph. The graph was also needed to throw more light, or more or less make my map communicate with whoever it is that comes across my map. So the graph was done through the diagrams. So I right clicked, my diagram type was to be a bar graph, so I clicked on the bar graph, and it's loading up. So the bar graph needed data from the all property. After selecting all properties, on the editing pane, all properties pane, I went to the diagrams, and you can obviously see that the diagram is ready to take data from this particular data set, which is the all properties. The group field needed was the gender group field, which was selected, and this was the output. As we can see here, the output is right here. As you can see, this shows the difference by category, showing that the male has the highest presence of property, and the female followed by the jointly owned properties and the organization. A combination of all of this brought about my final output map, which is seen in my PowerPoint presentation and the data provided. I think with this few sessions, I believe I've been able to put you through majority of what I did and the processes are involved throughout the process of creating my map. Thank you very much.